April saw nearly £20 of dividends covering 2 of my bills. In May, I received my largest dividend payout to date, covering 3 of my monthly bills and more. So pop the kettle on and make a mug of your favourite brew while I show you how investing in dividend stocks can start paying your bills too. Hello and welcome to InvestTea. I'm a UK-based investor who is trying to replace my payslip with a passive income through investing in dividend-paying stocks. Welcome to the May 2026 dividend update. In this video, I will be covering an overview of my current portfolio, reviewing my dividends one by one. There is a lot of them this month. Also, an interesting event happened which I will cover. And finally, we'll see which of my bills have been covered. A quick reminder first though, this is not financial advice. I'm making these videos more for myself to force me to track the progress of my journey, but also so you can follow along and see what is possible. I hold my portfolio in a trading 212 stocks and shares ISA. I started investing in this portfolio in March 2024 and is currently worth just over £5,850. Of that value, just over £5,058 is my net deposit to the portfolio. I have a buy and hold strategy, meaning I primarily buy shares and very rarely sell. I currently have 36 holdings in my portfolio and use trading 212 pie functionality. Each holding represents between 1% and 5% of the total pie. And finally, I use the auto invest feature to invest £150 every month and let trading 212 self-balance across my 36 holdings to maintain their respective weights. Now, let's review May's dividend payments one by one. Starting on the 6th with my first dividend of May from F&C Investment Trust. Keep watching as I have an update on this holding later in the video. Currently, at 1% of my portfolio, this first dividend was for just 21 pence from 4 shares. 21 pence may be a small dividend, however F&C show a steady dividend growth of around 6% on average per year over the last 15 years. On the following day, my next dividend rolled in, this time from British American Tobacco. Whatever your views may be on tobacco and smoking, BAT does pay a healthy dividend and shows consistent growth, paying quarterly dividends. I have nearly 5 shares paying me £3.05 this month. As you can see, they've been paying increasing dividends since the year 2000. The dip you see in 2017 was due to a change from semi-annual dividends to quarterly payments. The 8th of May saw 3 payments from 2 of my holdings. First up was BlackRock Smaller Companies Trust. This trust holds a portfolio of stocks from the lower end of the market cap spectrum and is managed by Roland Arnold. BlackRock Smaller Companies Trust pays out twice a year and is 2% of my portfolio. This month I received £2.30 from 8 shares. This is another holding paying increasing dividends since the year 2000. Growth in the last 5 years has averaged nearly 6% every year. Next on the 8th of May was 2 payments from Primary Health Properties. Primary Health Properties pays quarterly dividends and is 3% of my portfolio. It is a real estate investment trust, hence for 2 payments. The first payment was the dividend component, paying me 73 pence from the 145 shares I hold. The second payment was the property income distribution that REITs must pay out. This added another £1.92, bringing the total to £2.65 for this quarter's payment. Looking at the dividend growth, this is slow but steady, averaging 3.48% yearly. The 2 dips you can see, one in 2007 and the other in 2015, are due to a change in financial year end and changing from semi-annual payments to quarterly. These are purely calculation discrepancies and not actual dividend decline. The 20th of May saw another 3 payments. Starting with the London Stock Exchange Group. LSEG are more than just the London Stock Exchange. They also provide data and analytics, risk intelligence and benchmarking. LSEG pays 2 dividends a year, and the 3.3 shares that I own represent 5% of my portfolio. This month they paid me £3.41. LSEG are strong on the dividend growth front, averaging over 14.3% per year since the year 2002. The dip you see in 2014 is due to a 9-month reporting period. Next on the 20th is Softcat. Softcat is a UK-based IT infrastructure solutions provider and value-added reseller. They pay 2 dividends a year and are currently 1% of my portfolio, pay me 37 pence this month. They've only been paying dividends since 2016, but are averaging almost 11.5% year-on-year increases. The year end is coming up in July, so will be an opportunity to see if the growth continues and possibly consider increasing their share of my portfolio. Then finally, on the 20th, we have Standard Life, paying me a solid £8.22 from my near 30 shares. Standard Life, previously known as the Phoenix Group, are a long-term savings and retirement specialist in the UK. They also have a healthy yield of nearly 7% and are 4% of my portfolio. Standard Life have a 16-year track record of dividend payments with a steady average of 3.35% yearly growth, albeit with a few years flat with no growth, but no cuts. My next payment was on the 22nd from Spirax Group. Spirax are a British manufacturer of steam management systems, pumps and fluid path technologies. This is another one of my largest positions at 5% of my portfolio and pay 2 dividends a year, with this month paying £4.58 from 3.7 shares. Spirax has over 25 years of paying increasing dividends with a healthy 8.8% yearly growth. The 27th saw a dividend from Croda International. Croda are a specialty chemicals company headquartered in Snaith, England. They manufacture high-performance bio-based ingredients and technologies for consumer care, life sciences, and industrial sectors. They pay 2 dividends a year and are 2% of my portfolio. From the 3.5 shares I own, I receive £2.21. Croda are another holding with a 25-year track record, but does appear to be slowing down in the last few years. Still, though, they average over 4% yearly growth. The 29th brought the final dividends of May, with 3 payments from 2 holdings. First up was Derwent London. Derwent London are another real estate investment trust with a focus on central London offices. The first was the dividend component with a payment of £1.52. The second was the property income distribution, paying £3.81 for a total of £5.33. Derwent are another holding with a long track record, but really slowed in the last 5 years or so, probably related to the effects of COVID on home working. This is a holding I will be keeping an eye on. Then the final dividend of May was a small payment from the Bankers Investment Trust, a global equity trust managed by Janus Henderson. This payment was just 25 pence from nearly 36 shares. However, they do pay quarterly. The Bankers Investment Trust are yet another holding with a 25-plus year track record, with a decent average 5% yearly growth, albeit a current yield under 2%. So that was May's dividends, a bumper month with 13 payments totalling £32.58. Comparing that to the previous month, this is a sizable increase. This, of course, is due to the nature of dividends, with some companies paying out twice a year, whereas others are quarterly. Looking at the rolling average over the last 12 months, this comes to £13.18 per month, which would give me about a 2.98% yield on cost. This is a small increase from April's yield on cost of 2.8%. Before we review what the dividends have covered in May, I want to talk about the stock split that happened. This happened to my F&C Investment Trust holding. F&C are the oldest investment trust in the world, started in 1868 and have 54 years of consecutive dividend growth, averaging over 6% growth per year over the last 15 years. The purpose of the split was to improve liquidity and make the shares more affordable for retail investors. Trading 212 handles the split by selling your holding at the current number of shares, then immediately rebuying the new number, therefore you don't lose any money. In my case, my just over 4 shares were sold and rebought, giving me just over 16 shares now. I expect this to have an impact on the per share dividends, but the total amount of dividends should remain the same. I expect the next dividend to be announced around the 20th of June. Now, going back to my monthly bills, let's see what that £32.58 will cover. First, my Netflix and Disney Plus subscriptions are both easily covered, leaving £16.60. £16.60 isn't quite enough to cover all my mobile expenses. However, it will cover the actual monthly contract component, as that is only £10. The remaining £6.60 can be used towards my handset upgrade pot. However, I don't actually withdraw any money from my account to pay for these items. I leave it and use it to buy more shares to get bigger dividends in the future. That brings us to the end of May's update. I would be very grateful if you could subscribe, and that also means you'll be notified when I release my next update. Why not also leave a comment about your investing journey? Until next time, cheers.